Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick with the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we are going to be doing a breakdown of Mel Kiper of ESPN's first inaugural NFL mock draft for the 2021 draft. Now, in this video, we are going to be discussing all of the picks that Mel Kiper made inside of the first round and kind of my thoughts around it. Now, obviously, I'm not balls deep inside the brain of Mel Kiper, so I can't tell you necessarily exactly what he is doing, and I do not pay for ESPN Plus, so we are on a different website, 247sports.com. I will link it down below, but this is Mel Kiper's picks, just on a different website. So, in this video, we're going to be going over his picks again. I'm just going to talk about my opinion on each of them, and if I think that this is even remotely possible, or if this is just complete and utter kind of just doing a mock draft to do a mock draft to get the people fired up so that when you drop the second one, maybe it makes a little more sense if people actually get and understand it. Now, again, these guys are going to be wrong. I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to say one of these guys is going to completely suck, and frankly, they're going to be amazing. I was wrong last year on Justin Herbert. I'm going to be wrong this year on someone as well. It's pretty much inevitable. So let's get into this video. If you do end up enjoying, you want more NFL content, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I'll be dropping NFL mock drafts, NFL content, as well as fantasy football content, so you can take home your 2021 fantasy football league. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, and let's get into it. The first pick of the draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Clemson Tigers quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Touchdown Jesus himself. To me, this is the most brainless pick ever. I've looked probably at 50, maybe even 100 mock drafts at this point, and I've never once seen anyone go with someone not named Trevor Lawrence. Now, the only way they don't pick Trevor Lawrence here is if they trade this pick and for Deshaun Watson or something, but I don't think they are in the kind of looking for Deshaun Watson, so I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are pretty obviously here going to be drafting Trevor Lawrence. This is one of the best prospects ever coming out of college at the quarterback position, and it would be a complete and utter miss for the Jaguars to look elsewhere besides Trevor Lawrence. So to me, this is a no-brainer, and obviously the correct pick here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mel Kiper so far on 100%. At number 2, we have the New York Football Jets selecting wide receiver Devonta Smith. Now, personally, I am on board with the train of the Jets potentially not drafting a quarterback. There is noise everywhere surrounding us that the fact that Deshaun Watson may find his home in New York. Vegas had them, I believe, as the third best odds to get Mr. Deshaun Watson in a trade. If you guys want to hear me talk about Deshaun Watson trade opportunities, that video, or trade potential partners, you can check out yesterday's video where I go in depth on that, and the Jets are definitely one of the big ones according to Vegas. Now, the Jets here selecting a wide receiver here makes sense, but if I was the Jets, I would go ahead and draft a guard that is going to potentially be a guard for your team for the next 7 zillion years. Offensive tackle Penei Sewell. It would make no sense to me for them not to draft Penei Sewell because he's just one of those cornerstones of the team. You can't really go ahead and get a tackle in the draft that is going to be as good as him anywhere in this draft. It's very hard to bring in a guy like Penei Sewell, so in my opinion, it really makes no sense for the Jets to go ahead here and draft wide receiver Devonta Smith. Now, I understand it probably could happen because Devonta Smith made your eyes orgasm when you saw him go for a zillion yards in that national championship game up against Ohio State. This guy's numbers are insane. His tape is insane. He may look like Slender Man because he's skinny as fuck, but at the end of the day, he's been balling his whole collegiate career, so it makes not much of a surprise when you see him picked at the number 2 overall spot, but I do waver the fact that I feel like Penei Sewell out of Oregon would be the pick here for the New York Football Jets. At number 3, we see my Dolphins, our pick via the Houston Texans because they traded us that for absolutely no reason. It was one of the greatest steals of all time besides from when the Cardinals got DeAndre Hopkins from the Houston Texans. At number 3, the Miami Dolphins select wide receiver Jamar Chase of the LSU Tigers. Now, this obviously assumes that we are not trading for Deshaun Watson in this scenario, which again, we really do not know right now which team he's going to end up going to. Speculate all you want, but right now, with zero idea on what's going to be happening, Miami Dolphins selecting a wide receiver here makes a lot of sense. As a Dolphins fan, I would have preferred that we took Penei Sewell here as well, or if we would have gotten Devonta Smith, but obviously in this scenario, the Jets take Devonta Smith, so it does kind of make sense. But again, I feel like when you're at this 3 spot and this guard, this tackle, this guy who is going to protect Tua's livelihood for the rest of this motherfucker's career is on the board, one of these guys that people have talked up as a generational talent, in my opinion, you do not miss out on. Now, Ja'Marr Chase opted out this season, so we haven't seen him do anything since 2019 with big boy Joey Burrow in LSU. So there's definitely question marks with Chase. He should be a great wide receiver, and many people believe he's the best wide receiver in the draft. To me, I like Devonta Smith slightly more, but again, it's kind of picking fucking hairs out at that point. At the end of the day, these guys are going to be successful. The Dolphins go with Ja'Marr Chase. Seems a little early in my opinion. Personally, again, I would have went for Penei Sewell here at the 3 pick. And number 4, the Atlanta Falcons select second quarterback off the board. Quarterback Zach Wilson out of BYU. BYD. All these girls want to get with me. Shout out to Key and Peele, that sketch about the kicker. Amazing sketch. Zach Wilson looks like the second best quarterback in the draft in my mind. A lot of people will tout up Justin Fields. Personally, I see Justin Fields as a potential bust. Now, I'm not saying that the guy's complete and utter dog water, freer than free, like he's some type of fucking garbage can, but I also don't think that Fields is necessarily going to be the best guy that you think he could be. Now, I'm not thinking he's going to be like Dwayne Trashcan Haskins. You should remove the fact that he went to Ohio State from your brain, because if you just let that have mental gymnastics inside of your cranium, then you're going to go ahead and feel like a dumbass when this guy plays pretty decent. But he does have issues with his first read, as he kind of eyes down the first read, and he also has a lot of overconfidence issues where he feels super confident, in my opinion at least. Seems like he's a little too confident with some of the things he does, but he also has a cannon for an arm. He does a lot of things great, has a lot of good mobility, all these things. So there's the potential for him to land in a good spot. Then this guy could be amazing, but if he gets drafted a little too early, like to the Jets, then we might see a dumpster fire scenario for Justin Fields. Zach Wilson going to the Atlanta Falcons. This is a perfect scenario here for Zach Wilson. He sits behind Mr. Matty Ice Baby bum for at least a year, and then this guy's going to be fired up, looking good out of BYU. This guy has tremendous arm talent as well as rushing ability. Now, I'm not saying he's like Lamar Jackson, but he can definitely tuck and run, and I like Zach Wilson here a whole ton in Atlanta. And for all those fantasy guys, if he's the starting quarterback in 2 years, we're going to love those tight ends, because Zach Wilson loves to throw the ball to the tight end. At number 5, we have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting offensive tackle Penei Sewell out of Oregon. This makes a lot of sense. The Bengals, in my opinion, this is the perfect pick besides Ja'Marr Chase, I would say, because you could pair Joe Burrow up with his former LSU wide receiver number 1. This makes a lot of sense. You got to protect Joe Burrow. The guy tore his ACL last season. It was obviously something tough to see. You don't want to be seeing that in 2021, so you got to protect him and build a wall like your name was Donald J. Trump. So you're going to go ahead here and select Penei Sewell here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, there's going to be political jokes in some of these videos. I'm not taking a side. I am just making a joke. So to all the people in the comments, please do not get a little bit angry. At number 6, we have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Jaylen Waddle out of the Alabama Crimson Tigers. Jaylen Waddle, Crimson Tigers, the Crimson Tide. I apologize to all you Alabama fans. Jaylen Waddle seems like a very legitimate top 3 wide receiver in this draft. Obviously, he plays for Alabama, and that's going to throw you up through the fucking moon like Dogecoin, because you're on an amazing team. But the Eagles have been missing in the draft on wide receivers. I worry. Rager sucks. Will Waddle suck? I don't know. Going to the Eagles does not seem like the ideal landing spot for Waddle, and I don't feel like this many wide receivers are going to go early in the draft, because I feel like if you're the Eagles, you have enough wide receiver pieces, right? Rager on a second year hopefully improves. Travis Fulgham. All these guys, you hope take that next step as their career progresses. So I personally would not have went with Waddle, and probably would have built a defensive piece here and added to the Philadelphia Eagles defense. At least in my opinion. I just feel like it's a little too early for Mr. Jaylen Waddle to waddle to the very next day. At number 7, the Detroit Lions, after losing Matty Snapback, select quarterback Justin Fields out of the Ohio State University. Justin Fields, again, I do worry about his kind of locked-in mentality. Now, I'm not talking he's locked into the game. He is as well, but he's locked into that first read. I think that it's kind of hard-pressed to find people talking about that. If you go ahead and watch his games, all you got to do on Google or on YouTube, you type in Justin Fields versus X, and you watch the certain games, and you'll see he really keys in on these first reads, and it makes him feel a little bit like he's going to do this in the NFL. And if you do this in the NFL, the fucking corners are going to see you gazing one guy down, and they're going to jump and pick the ball off. We saw him struggle up against Alabama in the national championship. And personally, I think that's why he's kind of fallen down these draft boards at number 7 to the Detroit Lions. It makes a whole ton of sense. Let's hope that the Detroit Lions can build upon Justin Fields, because this seems like a doomsday scenario, in my opinion, for Justin Fields, who, in my opinion, needs a decent amount of work before he gets it going. At number 8, we have quarterback Trey Lance of North Dakota State. They played one game this season, and then he decided to opt out. They kind of are not having a season until later in the year. Sort of spring ball type deal. So his numbers are from 2019. You go ahead, you can look in there. Ran for 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2,786 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, and 0 INTs, which is impressive. Now, even on here, it says that this guy would just back up Teddy Bridgewater, learn from Teddy Roosevelt, and then get elevated into that starting lineup, not in 2021, but in 2022. Seems like a great plan for the Carolina Panthers under Matt Rule. I think this is a very good addition to the team, and I do like Trey Lance a whole lot here at number 8 to Sir Purr and friends, the Carolina Panthers. If you guys have ended up enjoying this video thus far, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. At number 9, we have the Denver Broncos selecting linebacker Micah Parsons out of Penn State. Now, again, I talked about this in the other mock draft video when I reviewed PFF's first mock draft, and I was talking about how Micah Parsons was doing something with his willy, which what he actually was doing some type of frat fucking hazing to his teammates at Penn State. People are talking about character issues, this, that, and the other thing. As long as he doesn't get caught smoking fucking weed like the Dolphins guy Tunsil did a couple of years ago, where he had that gas mask on and then he fell a zillion picks, that's probably not going to happen in this case. And going to the Denver Broncos seems ideal for Mr. Micah Parsons out of Penn State. The Denver Broncos defense does look good. If they are able to acquire a quarterback like Deshaun Watson or like Matthew Stafford, they are going to be feared in that AFC division with the Chiefs, which is obviously not the best for you, but at the end of the day, Micah Parsons is a very good linebacker out of Penn State and has been playing quite well thus far. His career obviously did not play in 2020, but in 2019, he did look pretty solid, so I like him here out of Penn State to the Broncos. At number 10, we see lineman Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern go to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, this is a questionable pick in my opinion. Not saying that this Rashawn Slater guy out of Northwestern is some type of fucking garbage can, because frankly, he's not. There's people saying this guy's an old tackle, he's a guard, he can do it all. That's great. But you know what it would be great for the Dallas Cowboys? Selecting actual defensive pieces so that you're not having Dak Prescott go into full-on fucking guerrilla warfare, having to go into shootouts every single goddamn game. That is going to be an issue for Dak Prescott. If he's having to put up 38 points to win every single game, it's going to be fun to watch, obviously, but not great for Dak Prescott and friends, because they're going to end up losing games when their defense is getting smoked like a blunt in Snoop Dogg's house. So I think that the Cowboys should go ahead and select a corner here. They should go with literally any of them. They're all available right here. Jaycee Horn. You got Mr. Surtain. There's even other cornerbacks that you can select, like the one out of South Carolina. So don't go ahead here, in my opinion, Cowboys fans. I would not want to draft the O-lineman here. Obviously, you can. I will not hate on drafting an O-lineman to protect Dak Prescott. But in my opinion, if you don't start adding to this defense, you're going to end up having a bad time in 2021. Next pick here, we got the New York Football Giants selecting tight end Kyle Pitts out of Florida. The Giants defense was kind of a bright spot deeper into the season. And we have the case of the Giants having Evan Ingram, who's touted to be kind of what Pitts is touted to be. Pitts is so fucking good that was kind of cap. Pitts is so fucking good that this guy's like a wide receiver and a tight end at the same time. This guy might be the best wide receiver in the class, and he plays tight end. That's how crazy good this man is out of the Florida, just the Florida, I guess. Florida University, go Gators, chomp chomp. This is perfect. Vanilla Vic, a.k.a. Daniel Jones, should be good with this. If this doesn't help, then you know you're done with Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones really hasn't improved all that much. I'm not saying he's a garbage can. He's just not all that great. So the Giants add another weapon for Mr. Danny Dimes. At number 12, we have the San Francisco 49ers selecting cornerback Patrick Surtain out of Alabama. Great pick, first corner off the board. I like that pick for the 49ers to continue to build on a defense that is losing tons of pieces in the offseason. At number 13, we see the Los Angeles Chargers select offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. Go Hokies. Next up at 13, the Los Angeles Chargers select offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. I think I already said that, but I had to cut real quick to take a sip of water. So there's a classic case of a team protecting the franchise man. They got to protect Justin Herbert, the pervert who came out on fire, guns a-blazing, after Tyrod Taylor got stabbed in the lung by their doctor. I did not see that coming at all. I did not see him coming out that hot at all. I don't think anyone did, really, except for those Justin Herbert truthers. So shout out to you because you got that right. Darrisaw is there to protect the family jewels like wearing a cup. So I like that pick there for the Chargers. At 14, we see the Minnesota Vikings selecting offensive tackle / guard Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. That's another good pick, but I think the Vikings need to add to that defense, picking literally anyone here. Maybe kwity paye. Maybe go ahead and select Jaycee Horn. I'd probably prefer that for the Vikings, but building the offensive line so that you can make sure that Dalvin Cook doesn't die back there does make sense. At 15, we see the New England Patriots selecting quarterback Mac Jones out of Alabama. An excellent pick here, replacing Tampa Bay Tom Brady with Mac Jones. Now, Mac Jones, if you guys have seen that picture of him after they won the national championship X years ago, I think that's what the picture's from. It's just him with a cigar in his mouth. This dude looks like he has no fucking idea that he's going to go play football and win the national championship. It's hilarious. He's built different, frankly, but not built different like how DK Metcalf is shredded as fuck. This guy just looks like the average Joe. Mac Jones, this guy's a fucking baller. I didn't expect him to get picked this high. I'm not too sure if he'll get picked this high. I'm not too sure how the Patriots would fill in the quarterback position either way. This makes sense. Do it in the draft and select quarterback Mac Jones. Let me know down below in the comment section where you guys think Mac Jones is going to go in 2021. At 16, the Arizona Cardinals select cornerback Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. Another case of a team filling in a position of need. Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech goes to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I was saying Jaycee Horn before as well, and I do think that Caleb Farley is better than him, but his name just kind of sticks to my mind because his name is Horn. It's a pretty sick name, but Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech does seem like a very solid pick here for the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Cardinals' offense is pretty much set unless they were to draft a running back, but drafting a running back this early seems about as ludicrous as the man himself, Luda. So I like this pick here at 16. Number 17, we see the Las Vegas Raiders go with defensive end Jalen Phillips here out of Miami. Interesting to see him go ahead of his teammate Rousseau here at pick 17. The Raiders building that defensive line makes a whole lot of sense here at 17. I don't think the Raiders really know what they're going to do. They're going to stick with Carr probably another year. They have these good wide receivers. There isn't the next wide receiver available because the big three are gone. Seen Smith, seen Waddle, seen Chase come off the board. So what do you really do? You just add another piece to your defense. Number 18, my Miami Dolphins select linebacker Jeremiah Owusu Karamaya out of Notre Dame. This seems like a Brian Flores pick through the fucking moon. The Dolphins need receivers. We need a running back. We need X's. We need O's. We don't need anything on defense, but Brian Flores does not give a fook like his name was Conor McGregor, and he'll continue to build to his defense. I respect it, though, because the Dolphins' defense was insane in the membrane last season. At number 19, we see the Washington football team select wide receiver Kadarius Toney out of Florida. If you guys watched that video from the Reese's Senior Bowl from yesterday, as you guys are watching this, Kadarius Toney puts the fucking ankle breakers on this dude, absolutely cooks him. The ball hits him in the hand, it flies off of his hand, absolutely hilarious. The guy has good hands, excellent speed, excellent cutting. Looks pretty good pick here for the Washington football team. Washington football team fans, I assume you want Mac Jones. I think you want Deshaun Watson as well, but I don't think that's as likely as getting Mac Jones. So interesting to see what the football team does here if they don't go ahead and draft a quarterback at 20. We see the Chicago Bears select offensive tackle out of Ole Miss, Tevin Jenkins. Shout out to Leroy Jenkins. This makes sense, but just doesn't feel sexy, right? Without Allen Robinson there, you kind of want to draft another wide receiver. Now, there isn't those upper echelon guys. Rondell Moore is still available. There's a bunch of other wide receivers that you could select here, so I don't necessarily love this pick of Tevin Jenkins to the Chicago Bears. Kind of just a pick. If you're a Bears fan, they pick Tevin Jenkins, you're not going to be pissed off, but you're not going to be happy, really. It's just an average pick. At 21, we see the Indianapolis Colts select defensive end kwity paye out of Michigan. It seems like they may be the front runner to get Matty Snap back out of the Detroit Lions, so that's very interesting to see here for the Indianapolis Colts. Makes sense to go ahead and build more on that defense. They have a very strong defense, very good offensive line, good weapons all around. Add to that defense, bolster it up, get kwity paye here out of Michigan at 22. We see the Tennessee Titans like Gregory Rousseau out of Miami. Talked about his teammate a little bit earlier. Makes sense. Again, the Titans need defense like I need Coke to wake up in the morning. And I'm talking about Coca-Cola. I don't snort that booger sugar, baby, but it makes sense. The Titans' defense is atrocious. It is literally dick cheese. If they pick any position on defense, it would make sense. So lock down a nice defensive end here at 22. The New York Football Jets with their Jamal Adams pick from the Seattle Seahawks select Jaycee Horn out of South Carolina. Great pick for the Jets. Continue to build this defense. This team is young. They bring in a defensive-minded head coach in Saleh. I like Saleh. He was the former defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, so this makes sense for him to add to his defense. At number 24, we see the Pittsburgh Steelers select Zaven Collins, defensive end, offensive linebacker, outside linebacker. I just said offensive linebacker like that's a position, you dumb motherfucker. Zaven Collins out of Tulsa. Steelers adding more to that defense makes sense. Personally, the sexiest pick here, if I was a Steelers fan, I want James Conner sent on a fucking boat Viking style funeral. They shoot a bow of fucking fire at his ass, and you draft Najee Harris. You bring back the good old days of Pittsburgh having an amazing rushing attack. That seems very interesting to me. It's something I like to toy with here. Again, adding a defensive end outside linebacker makes sense for the Steelers. But again, I'm all about having fun here in these mock drafts. At 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars via the LA Rams, one of those Ramsey picks for the Jaguars. Going ahead and selecting defensive tackle Christian Barrymore out of Alabama. This guy is one of those sexy motherfuckers that you see on your screen. Now, I'm not talking about how he looks sexy, but I'm talking about this man plays sexy. All right. His tackles are beautiful. This guy is rushing the passer. He is fucking yo bitch. That's what he does. You can go ahead and watch up against the Ohio State University. Christian Barrymore's all up on that ass of Justin Fields. Watch the tape strictly from that if you're a Jaguars fan. Saxonville is coming back if they draft Christian Barrymore. 26, we see the Cleveland Brownies select defensive back Aaron Johnson out of UCF. National champions UCF, that is. The Browns, their defense looked like it was going to be great coming into the season. Very injured all throughout the year. Kind of getting healthy in the playoffs. They lose, obviously. Not the greatest defense, not the worst defense. Makes sense to add another piece there. 27, we see the Ravens add Terrence Marshall out of LSU. Now, this is a very interesting pick if you are a Ravens fan, because now if they draft these wide receivers, they start actually building around Lamar Jackson, we can actually see if Lamar Jackson is a competent passer or not. Because while he just has Hollywood Brown, this guy's fast as fuck, Lightning McQueen style, he really hasn't had any of these other wide receivers around him. Terrence Moore is one of those beautiful picks out of LSU, so it does make sense that the Ravens would pick him. The Ravens don't have too many holes to fix. They got a good defense, they got a good offense, but they need wide receivers so that Lamar Jackson can cook like his name was Gordon Ramsay. Final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks of the draft. That's right, I can't do math in my head. The New Orleans Saints select safety Trayvon Moehrig out of TCU. The Saints, now, they're an interesting spot as well because we don't know how they're going to feel about the quarterback position. I saw something today, and I apologize for me not being able to give the credit where the credit is due, but they said that they think that Jameis Winston wasn't used for the Saints last year, and Taysom Hill was because they didn't want to pay Jameis the big bucks if he blew up in those games. And the more I thought about it, I was thinking originally this is just some mental fucking gymnastics going straight into my membrane on why they didn't play Jameis and how it's just a lie and they're going to bring in someone else. And then I kept thinking about it and I was like, that makes sense. If they thought Jameis was good, they got him on the cheap, the low. If he balled out for like 5 fucking games in a row, then Jameis would be on another team or he would be very expensive. Now they can get him again next year on the low. So it makes sense. The Saints add to that defense. I like it. They're a pretty solid offense. Nice offensive line. Nice receiving core over there. Makes sense to add a safety there for the New Orleans Saints, whose defense is iffy. At number 29, we have but I say they're iffy because the Saints defense, if you guys have noticed now, this is just me watching from afar, but when I watch some of these games, man, it seems like the Saints defense is fucking amazing, and then the next week they're complete dick cheese. Like, they go into some games, they're fucking ready to roll, they just lock a team down, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they played that night game, right? They just locked them down completely. And then you see them playing other games, and the defense, like in the fucking playoffs, is getting absolutely ass-railed by an offense. So it really just makes not too much sense. At number 29, we see the Green Bay Packers select cornerback Tyson Campbell, like the soup possibilities out of Georgia. The Packers are losing corners to free agency. You bring in a new one here. Makes sense, but Aaron Rodgers is probably going to throw something against the wall because they have not brought in an offensive weapon again in the first round, except for last year they brought an offensive weapon, but it was the guy who was there to steal his job in Jordan. Love me tender, love me sweet. At number 30, this is an interesting pick here, but I don't love it because I want him to go to the Dolphins. At number 30, the Buffalo Bills. No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, who just coming off a loss up against the Chiefs. A great season out of the Bills. Will they be back next year? I don't know, but they do look like they're going on the uppity up. Select running back Najee Harris out of Alabama. Him and ETN out of Clemson seem like the 1A, 1B of running back. Both these guys can pretty much do it all. Najee Harris literally exploded up against the Ohio State University. He exploded up against whoever the fuck they played in the first round, Notre Dame. He was just balling out of control all year long. The Alabama Crimson Tide breeds these running bikes into the NFL, and I think that the Buffalo Bills here going with this pick. Get the fuck out of here, Devin Singletary. You are a garbage can. I have never seen the Bills projected to get a running back here, but it makes so much sense. It really does. I think maybe drafting some defense might help you, but, I mean, adding Najee Harris, this just makes this offense so much better that it's actually scary as a Dolphins fan. Number 31, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Joe Tyron out of Washington. This pick is just a simpleton pick. The Bucs need defense to make sure that if Brady kind of fucks up, you're fine. Makes sense. Nothing really too much to add on that. And at number 30, the Kansas City Chiefs select outside linebacker / defensive end Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. The Florida Georgia Boulder. Makes sense. The Chiefs need defense, but I would love if the Chiefs selected another wide receiver. Now, I actually don't want to see that because I'd be scared. But if they selected a legitimate wide receiver here, could be literally anyone. There's a zillion wide receivers available. There's a deep class at the wide receiver position. You pick one here, and the guy goes straight to the fucking moon like the AMC stocks are going to tomorrow after Robin Hood's fraud ass fixes it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys did end up enjoying this. This is kind of be a longer video, but we'll be back again with more mock drafts, maybe even one of my own pretty soon here, cooking it up like Chef Gordon Ramsay. I love each and every single one of you guys. Have a great rest of your guys' day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. As always, good boy.